just praying to myself that the mic is able to withstand this episode. Artist Journal, Take 1, December 20th, 2022, Berlin. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. On a mission. Of what nature we are still determining, but the important thing sometimes is just to know you're going somewhere and that there is a fixed star somewhere out there that keeps me doing this with a zealotry that hopefully does not get too intense. So anyways, here is a wonderful work here. It's looking pretty good, isn't it? This, let me just adjust things here a little bit. This work, Joanne, and I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce, I assume it's a woman, Joanne, J-A-I-N, J-O-A-I-N. So anyways, look at how great this looks. This came out in late November while I was away visiting the fam. Shout out to Mom. And look at this. So again, it's looking pretty good. Like, this is the sort of thing that you go to a contemporary art gallery and you say, wow, this is pretty impressive work. Yet this, my friends, is AI mixed with painting. A particularly dangerous concoction, in my opinion, and on object. Now, Joanne has work on foundation. We've looked at her work before, and Joanne, if I have the wrong, if it's a he, just let me know, but I think we can assume it's a she. We've seen Joanne's work before, and we're going to have to deal with that a little bit, but I've figured out kind of a hack in order to get these images big. On foundation. So the reason I came across this work, and again, this came out November 29th, buy for $1,000, but you know, it's a lot of money. I mean, less and less every day on the Tezos blockchain, but it was down to 75 cents today, by the way. But nevertheless, I mean, considering what works go for, not a bad deal for a pretty nice piece of digital art here. Joanne, lately I've been vibing alone. So what's cool about this series is how consistent it is, and I came across it when I came across this tweet. GM, if you haven't left and are still here, then please report back with a GM. So I'm wondering if this is her super rare Genesis that she's working on, because she is, like, if you go to her Twitter profile, as I look at the mic here, if you go to her Twitter profile, you see super rare Joanne, but there are no works there. So it's tempting to think that that is the super rare piece, work in progress. Again, we'll show you some of her other works. So on object, this work came out in, I think, let me see here, August. So I think once Joanne kind of hit their stride, like, you see it used to be Joanne Miro. And I assume, like, unless this is a copy of someone, but I assume this is the account. And again, that's Juan Miro, like the Spanish surrealist. It's pronounced Juan. I always used to call it Joan Miro, J-O-A-N. So you see, like, this is like Juan Miro is how this person started out, and then added the I. Pretty cool. But you see, like, I don't want to say, like, I'd say, let's just put it this way, like, you see the evolution. I was going to say humble beginnings, but not so humble. I mean, it's quite nice what's going on, but you see, like, I mean, the difference, between, like, say, July here and what's going on here, which is, if you saw this at Gagosian, you'd probably go, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I would. If I didn't know anything about this artist, I'd go, wow, okay, Gagosian still matters, is what I would say to myself in my, in my head. So anyways, let's just keep going here. I have other works. So this is from August. And again, you see the development here. And Joanne was actually really smart from a financial perspective, because I think, and you see, this is from June. So you see the development. And again, combining painting with AI, if I remember right. But what was really smart is as soon as Joanne kind of hit her stride, she was on foundation. Let's just look at, because where you're going to command more money, let's just face it, right? Like, when is this? December 14th. Okay, that's when it offers, September 29th. So as soon as she realized she was onto something, here is sort of my speculation. And once that happened, she went for it, and look, selling for 0.56, and it just makes sense. Again, it makes sense to be multi-chain, and I think it's super cool, actually, that she actually released a work here, November, 27th, 29th, whatever it was, on Tezos. And, and just command more money. You can charge the same amount once you've kind of done the social proof there on Ethereum and show that you can sell for 500, 800 bucks or more. I mean, what is the top? I mean, I would say Joanne's work, considering how attractive it is pretty cheap. I mean, it's all sold out. I mean, what is 300, 400 bucks? The only thing is now I think it's going to go to super rare, the next one, I suspect, because that is her main link in her account. So I assume she's going to super rare, and it probably will go for more. Again, it's just a social proof sort of thing. But anyways, it's looking great. And here we all, as I always say, we like to show how things are displayed here. And we saw, who was it, Killer Acid, on this display in Miami. And I was on Joanne's Twitter feed, and she also had her work. And look at how good it looks. I mean, there's a lot of liberty taken by the curator here, who I think is Claire Silver 12, who a lot of us have heard of. And it's awesome, first of all, that Claire Silver 12 gets people's work out at, I think it's super cheap, at the Scope Art Show at Art Basel, Miami. So first things being said, that's super duper cool that you're getting people's work out there. I would say, just from a purely formal perspective, I think it's awesome, first of all. I think it works. But I mean, as an artist, put it this way. I think this column highlights the tension that we continue to have when we don't use projectors. And I assume these aren't projectors. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I assume they're not. I mean, I could be wrong about that. But put it this way. I'm trying to point out the tension that exists when we're trying to fit digital artworks into predetermined ratios, right, and scales. And then, so it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, we might say. I think it works here, and I think curators are making it work however they can, and these are tough limitations, because you might say, oh, well, I might opine and say, oh, well, this should be a big projection somewhere. And it probably should be, maybe, but you're not looking at all the constraints, Mr. Pocobelli. You're not looking at, where's the wall here? Look at the light. Do you have a strong enough projector? Are you able to dim the light enough for a projector? So it's not as easy as it might sound. That might be an ideal, situation. But, so anyways, so I'll just say these aren't simple matters here. And look, if you have a projector, that dog's shadow here is going to be, on the work, and maybe these people. So all to say, it's looking good, especially here. And we're talking about the alchemy of scale, in particular with digital art. I mean, it works across all visual art. We could, I think, argue pretty safely. But digital art in particular, I think, because it's worked on a fairly small scale. Like, if you compare the size of a screen to a canvas, you're working on a pretty small canvas. And that's like if you're working on a big, like, iMac, let's say, if you have a nice Mac'd out situation. Most of us are working on phones or tablets. Let's say the majority are working on tablets, so that's pretty small. How many, like, if you have a canvas that's that big, so I'd say scale has a particular power when we're dealing with digital, because again, we're always kind of looking, and yes, we can zoom in, but we're not zooming in and the screen's getting massive as we zoom in. It's just like, then we have a cropped version and we can get really close, but we don't see everything together. So all to say, I continue to maintain the projector is still like, it's a rock'em sock'em thing, but this looks great though. That is not to take away from this. And look, I mean, the picture speaks for itself. Look at how good this looks. Okay, like I think we could all be thrilled to have our art displayed here at Scope Art on this, column here. So nice work from Joanne. Artist Journal Live. It is finally happening, guys. It's happening. Share your opinions on digital art and get to know the community. So I am beginning this adventure here with experiment really on trying this out for the Wednesday show. I want to do this for a couple of reasons. One is so I can make art on Wednesdays during the morning, during the day. They're kind of my quiet days here. And this is at 3:30 my time in Berlin, which is 9:30 Eastern. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10:30. So that's what I'm thinking. I think it could be awesome. The community is totally awesome from what I've gathered so far. And I think it'll be, and why do we do this every day? I mean, there are maybe many reasons, but one of the most important, I think we could say idealistically, is the conversation. And maybe, just maybe, this will help forward the conversation faster. And help it develop in a faster way. So, Artist Journal Live, and let's see if my mystery co-host, I just let him know kind of last minute, okay, we've been talking about it for a month, so hopefully he gets the message on Twitter. He said that this time, a month ago, would work for him. So let's see, that would be awesome. Otherwise, we'll have him the next time or whenever he's ready and available. So here it is, come join. You can find it on my Twitter feed. A couple of comments here. I haven't even refreshed this, but 240 views in 17 hours. That's pretty good. And I don't think the YouTube algorithm is helping me too much because I took 2.5, 3 weeks off. And so anyways, this is awesome. Very, very nice views for 17 hours. A couple of comments here. Runetune, and he's discussing this. Wow, what an incredible work. He's discussing this work here by Sabato, which, I didn't pick it up in time, and now it's 35 Tezos, which is kind of hilarious. I'm a huge fan of Sabato's work. I have a ton of it. And so anyways, I gotta buy stuff before I post stuff here, but all in good time. So anyways, what an incredible work. Perhaps I'm wrong about this, but immediately I'm picking up a reference to blues legendary reference to a blues legend about selling your soul to the devil in exchange for glory, specifically the Robert Johnson myth about meeting the devil at the crossroads. But here we see it updated and rehashed as it relates to our digital art culture. That's a pretty interesting thought. The devil at the crossroads, in a sense, and who knows if it's on purpose. Here's the crossroads that every new media artist passed through in the 2010s, if not earlier. He may be onto something here. Maybe that is the reference. The famous Robert Johnson, I guess was he the inventor of the blues? I mean, I remember having a Robert Johnson CD. And pretty dark, interesting stuff. And anyway, let's continue here. There's so much to unpack. The black and white makes me think of black and white photography that was state-of-the-art during Johnson's time. The pixelation, another reference to retro technology. The corn in the background, a nod to this taking place in a rural area. The VR headset, cell tower, the camera on the tree. Such a cool work. I won't go on, but I will say as I write this, I see it available on Primary, and I feel lucky to scoop it before the flippers do. Great work. I saw this comment at the gym. And I was like, okay, good, it's still available on Primary. Then I waited till this morning. So you can't wait that long for a Sabato piece like that. It will disappear. Maybe I'll put an offer at some point. It's nice to, one of the little tricks I think is to let the markets cool down a bit. Maybe people are paying attention now and then come back in a month when, Tezos is at 40 cents and then maybe you put an offer in, or maybe you just get it for 10 Tezos. So this is also very important here. Niku P. Niku chimes in, I think Stable Diffusion has the ArtStation feature. Remember I was saying, we were discussing ArtStation and the prompt that I was like one of the AI tools. So Niku seems to think it's Stable Diffusion, and I think he's probably right. And one of their example prompts is, make a Vermeer landscape in the style of ArtStation was their suggestion. So this is maybe, where ArtStation is coming from. This whole pushback, this kind of anti-AI pushback. And Yeah, there's a couple of things. So first of all, I saw this actually yesterday, December 16th. Okay, so this came out a few days ago, but maybe you haven't seen this. ArtStation has a no AI tagging on projects. So now they've released an update to our terms of service, giving you more control over how your work may be used. When you tag your projects with no AI, ArtStation will automatically assign an HTML no AI meta tag. This will explicitly disallow the use of your content by AI systems. We've also updated our terms of service to prohibit companies from using no AI tagged content to train AI art generators. You know, I think it's fair enough. If you don't want your art to be used as an AI source, I think you should have that option. So I don't see anything wrong with that. To me, it makes more sense to do it this way than to just, you know, do these kind of flat out bans or whatever. It's just sort of like give the artists the sovereignty. You made it. If you want it to be, you know, in the system, if you want to contribute, you can. If you're not, you don't need to. So just kind of an interesting development here from ArtStation magazine. Kind of a funny thing, a portrait of myself working at ArtStation TM from Santiago. So I guess he's making fun of the name. I'm not sure. There he is at his ArtStation. And yeah, again, kind of looks like AI maybe, but I'm not sure. Also has a bit of a kind of 1940s, 50s kind of sci-fi magazine pulp feel to it. Anyways, kind of hilarious, cool work. Working at the ArtStation. So Tezos, you're just vibing, chimes in. Tezos, this is the ticker here for those that don't know, XTZ. Just touched 75 cents, all-time high, $9.17. So quite the roller coaster ride for artists here, you know, making, you know, but that's just the nature of the thing. Now, this is the thing. I think this can very much work in the artist's favor because right now, and I'm not advocating people do this, but if you want to raise your prices, you know, 2 or 3 Tezos or whatever, whatever your price situation is, I don't think it's, and I don't want people to do that as a collector, but as an artist, I go, oh, I can raise my prices a little bit because Tezos is almost at 75 cents, right? And then what happens is, and this happened on Ethereum, which is why I think all the Ethereum art went to such a high price in the last bull market. And the reason why is because people raised their prices for a low Ethereum price, but then they maintained the price of ETH. So now let's say you charged 10 Tezos before, now maybe you charge 15, and then Tezos goes back up to $9. Well, you kind of go along for the ride. So it works both ways, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people might be down because it's only 75 cents, but really it's an opportunity to kind of raise your prices a bit as an artist. And then when it goes back up, you just kind of maintain your, you know, it's 25 Tezos for this, you know, whatever the case may be for you. So anyways, I think like that's the reason, in my opinion, why Ethereum art went to such astronomical value, because they maintained the Ether price. And then all of a sudden ETH goes from, you know, whatever it was, $800 to $4,500. And now works are selling for, you know, $100,000 rather than 15, you know, so just the nature of the digital art market, I guess. And, you know, again, just kind of on the Tezos front here, because people might be starting to question, you know, if it's going to be around. I thought this was worth mentioning. Tezos has officially partnered with La Poste. La Poste is France's equivalent of USA's postal service. They will make a physical and a duplicate stamp powered by Tezos. I've also heard of like bonds by a French bank being put out by Tezos. And again, I'm not here to, you know, really, I like Tezos, and I guess I do have a sentimental appreciation, and I suppose I'm invested by virtue of the art that I've bought, but I'm not one of these tribal people who's saying we all have to love Tezos and nothing else. I'm totally multi-chain, and I think this is empowering for artists, by the way. Like take our friend Uxine, for example. If he, let's say he has problems on super rare or super rare goes bust or whatever, he still has Tezos and his market there. And this is why I say multimedia. And then if you have a you know, a physical art business as well, where you're selling prints, making paintings, etc. That diversification empowers artists, and that's why one of the reasons I'm all for it. In a sense, if I do have a bias, it's towards empowering artists, and whereas if you're taken off a platform, your, you know, situation isn't over. You can just bounce right back, and where the platform will have to think twice because they know you have other options. So they go, okay, are we sure we want to do this? Because we don't have a stranglehold on this person. So for me, being multi-chain and multimedia, other than it being really interesting, in a sense, going to different chains brings about different art projects sometimes. You see it when people go to Super Rare. They get more ambitious. We're going to see that with Goro very soon here. So anyways, and also being multimedia. Again, diversification works to the advantage of artists. So here's just an interesting work I saw on Twitter, Experience 12 by ZCNDE, edition of 2. I just thought this was an interesting kind of semi-abstract work. Never seen something quite like that. Went to Amelia Versace and Ergoto Mint for $6.66 and like $5 these days. Here's another abstract work, this time by The Isolationist. Reserve of 0.8, and this was just minted yesterday. So again, you see this kind of experimentation, this digital abstraction. I'm really enjoying, and I assume this is an abstraction. I don't think it's anything in particular, unconditional. I'm really enjoying seeing the development here. I think people are taking bigger risks, which is what I was commenting on yesterday. Here's another one that's just kind of interesting. Reminds me of a work by Rustic Digital Art, actually. This is just another kind of digital abstraction, Tony Wallstrom. And yeah, you see just kind of interesting, playing with shapes. I assume it's an abstraction. Field note number 6. And here is another new artist, Antonio Loves. And this was kind of from abstraction to illustration here. It was just some kind of wild illustration, kind of a newer artist. This came out yesterday, and December 16th, and Angels, Saints, Prophets, Genesis 7, or Wash My Soul. So just kind of an interesting work, pretty expensive. Let me just see what happened here. You know, sold out for 15. So I think that was this their Genesis work. So here, no, it was their second work. And here was the first. Let's just see, Genesis 3. I may kill this just so it doesn't kill my mic. Sold for 15, so kind of pays to start at a high price, doesn't it? A lot of people start at 1 or 2. I guess if the work will sell, then you're good. So anyways, interesting artist. And the name is Antonio Loves. Here is Goro. And I saw this, which I thought was quite interesting. Looks like a sketchbook type work, doesn't it? And, you know, Windows 95 type stuff, JPEG icon, and is this a Tamagotchi? So just really cool stuff here. And he put out a Genesis on Super Rare. So let's just take a quick look. It's actually pretty cool. Again, this idea that I kind of want to highlight of people, say when they get on Super Rare, they tend to put out some of their best work. Like I think we saw it with Louis Osborne. This idea, like it kind of was more ambitious because the money, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the market, it's like, you know, this is a chance to really make it. It's kind of like the big leagues a little bit, for better or for worse, you know, and feel free to disagree. Feel free to leave a comment. I'm going to start this from the start here and turn on the volume. There we go. I mean, nice music. Again, very ambitious here. I believe that's the loop. So anyway, look at that. So, wow, right? I mean, That must be like 20, 30 seconds long there. So anyways, 0.88. In the passage of multiverses, a glimpse of the future, a tangible reality within a mythical possibility. Again, so just this ambition that comes along with a different platform. This is another reason why I like to be multi-chain. You know, different platforms, you know, based on whatever collectors and just the overall impression and everything will bring about different work. And that's kind of fun, right? So here is some new works by Daniel W. that have come out in the last week, again, while I was gone here. Interesting stairwell. It was built as if the building was hungry. So these kind of cool architecture works I'm really enjoying, and he kind of puts a little bit of a horror feel to it. He has about 4 of them. Again, just these kind of modern day kind of interiors, I guess is what I'd call that. Stairwell, here it looks like a living room. I like this stuff like the little plug-in and like the light switch. Also the compositions are quite interesting here, how the door kind of hugs the edge here. Like it's kind of easy to look past that. Even the weird couch, like this is a pretty unusual composition. I think our default would be to give a little bit of padding or space to the door, not cut off the couch. So that creates its own kind of psychological feeling, which maybe kind of adds to this horror a little bit more of an angst, shall we say, to use a German term. Daniel W., also 3 a.m. Every night at 3 a.m. it's the same thing. I know it's there, but I always ignore it and keep working. This time I saw it though, and I think it noticed. So again, you know, just like these interiors right in the middle this time with kind of this horror guy in the dark. And anyways, let's just see. Interesting colors too. Kind of like these playful, bright colors, which adds a kind of interesting contrast to do this kind of horror, you know, theme in a kind of bright I guess it's CMYK is actually what's going on here. This is CMYK, I believe. Here, room with painting and ornate tables. So another one. These all kind of came out within a few days of each other. And of course, Saturn eating, I think, one of his sons. That's Goya, of course. Saturn devouring his son, but this definitely isn't Goya. And that candle seems to have been put out recently. So again, and look at this, again, this decision here to put the door right on the side here. Very, very interesting, because you get rid of that and it's kind of a boring composition, but you add this door here and it adds just a little bit of an edge, which is basically all you need. So nice work from Daniel W. Louis Osborne. I thought we could do a little checkup on him. He put out this tweet. Interesting, looks like one of those games where you have to get everything sorted out here. So Split. This is also a newer work. When did this come out? December 13th, so last week. Boing, which looks like a trampoline type situation. And this is only $10.99. You see, so the market has cooled off a tiny bit for Louis Osborne. I mean, let's just see, look at all the offers. Okay, what? So the offers are quite low. Look at all these offers at 10 cents. What is going on there? Let's just see what happened here. Looks like someone almost spammed. I don't even know if we can see the market here because someone spammed Louis Osborne's market here for 10. Maybe he did a lottery or something. He probably did a lottery and then someone put like 1 billion offers of 10 cents. That is probably what happened here because he accepted some of those very low offers. So anyways, playing with the market dynamics here. So here is his market also. Let's just look at the activity quickly. But you see, there's been some new works since we last looked at him. They're going for 27, 25, so nothing too enormous. You see this one of one going for 15,000, but again, it's more, the offer is more closer to the value than the price. This is a really nice one. So anyways, it's interesting to see how Louis Osborne, I just went to his super rare. He only has those 2 works. So he is taking his time. And yeah, you see kind of a decent, he's moving work, but it's not quite the mayhem of say 6 months ago. Okay. And he is selling, you know, selling out editions of 50 pretty quickly. So he's doing very well, but interesting update. He had a wonderful year, didn't he? And here's just one of his other works here, Jackpot. So this seems just made it's surprising he hasn't done this yet. So anyways, $21.99 for that. More work, Native Ed, who I love going back to here. Polyvisual System MK1 almost looks like a synth type UI. Our humanoid has developed a system called Polyvisual System. I can hear some radiant tunes. Everything has been modeled and animated in Blender, 40 megabytes. So anyways, this is a GIF, okay? So pretty cool. Not even quite sure what to make of it. It looks like a UI, almost like a synth UI, but put with this kind of futuristic, you know, grid-like backdrop here and animation. Now here's someone I feel like maybe we've seen Tom Bobattle's work before, but I'm not sure. Nightwalk, Spectrum Collection, nostalgic colors reminiscent of 8-bit games. So anyways, he put out some real great ones. I'm gonna have to pick these up before you guys do. I'm gonna have to pick these up as I upload. Some really nice work here. And let's just, yeah, mint prices too. So it's pretty cool. I mean, you can buy art for $1.60 for a nice work like this, edition of 18. The guy, it almost looks like the Sandman, that old 1940s comic and pulp character, and a nice little animation here too. So there's a few. They're all pretty reasonably priced. I think he might be flying under the radar as well, Tom Bobattle, because this stuff, like, you know, if you don't have like a big Twitter presence, this stuff can totally, there's so many artists that fly under the radar. Look at this. I think I brought this up. So, okay, first of all, let's look at this one, edition of 14. So again, this is part of the fun of doing this show, is kind of, it helps me discover artists like this, because I'm always on the hunt for new, interesting work. Really nice stuff here. So Spectrum, it's called Start, actually, by Tom Bobattle. Let's just see, yeah, so there's the maximized view. And Strange Night, loved this one too, edition of 12, only for $5. Let's see if I can make this bigger for us. And of course, that retro TV look. Kind of some almost Uxine-like, you know, wires going into the crane here, or into cranial into the skull. So let me reset that. Okay, and speaking of Uxine, you gotta love this. He put out this tweet, and there were a couple of things I like about it. The pixel version of this work, some very nice kind of pixel remix, and also he kind of kept this, you know, irrational components at the bottom here and at the top. This almost like what I almost want to call digital noise, this thing here too. Anyways, very, very, very interesting kind of pixel remix. I mean, you can almost imagine him doing a whole bunch of remixes of the pixel version. It'd probably be pretty simple to make. I also like this ASCII. This is kind of classic. So some nice tweeting here from Uxine. And also, this is slightly out of order here, Tom Bobattle Star. This is also a very nice work. This one's more expensive, 25 Tezos. This came out in November. So this is an earlier work here. Acid Soup. I'm not sure if we've looked at Acid Soup before. Let's just take a quick look. You're screwed. I feel like I've seen them, but not a ton. I'm going to shut this down so it doesn't kill my mic here. Welcome to the internet. So again, kind of a Windows 95. So pretty cool work, 2 Tezos, edition of 11. So again, for $1.60, again, I may have to go on a bit of a shopping spree here. There is one listed by Acid Soup. Haiti picked this up. I think that's where I discovered it. I was looking at Haiti's collection today. He always has very interesting collecting. And Kurt Hustle Collective sent me one of these, and I'm a huge fan, and thank you. Let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. So Peanut and Butter, is that Sega Genesis? KHC Game Center. So again, just brilliant design from Kurt Hustle Collective. Looks great, doesn't it? Very convincing. I'm gonna have to do the reset to these windows all the time. Buy for $5 edition of 30. And it's the Butterverse. Wow, follow Peanut and Butter through 7 bizarre worlds and defeat the Battitives and Pill Bodies to restore pure buttery goodness to the Butterverse. So only 2 left, so get it while you can. KHC Game Center. Also Haiti Rocket, When I Missed the Other Day. Zzz. So this is interesting, because I don't think this is a... Maybe it is. I was going to say, I don't think this is a glitch ROM, but here we have NES. So interesting. Is this a zoomed in Nintendo glitch ROM? I mean, that's just one of the many things you could do here. Maybe that's what's going on here. I mean, that's something, again, that we don't often take advantage of, right? We just think, oh, it's there. I guess Glitchtown Arcade, he would make them smaller. So that's also something you could do. And he'd put several into one image. So anyways, just interesting variation there from Haiti Rocket. This was interesting too. Lorna Mills, Yellow Whirlaway 2017 edition 1 of 2 is now in the permanent collection of the Museum of the Moving Image, which I don't think I've heard of, maybe in passing. Thank you, Regina Harsanyi, for helping to facilitate this. So I thought this was quite interesting because it looks like there's 4 pieces in one. Yellow Whirlaway. So you see, you know, Lorna Mills has been doing this for years, I think since at least even 2014. I have a book over here. I've shown it before by Wolf Leeser, who runs a digital art museum here in Berlin. And I think Lorna Mills is in that book, and that book came out a while ago. So she's done the crossover to contemporary art world, by the way. So she's one of those few souls that is actually kind of have a foot in both camps. Here's a pretty cool work. Kind of remind me of Roy Lichtenstein a little bit, doesn't it? Almost like a comic panel, but done in this kind of, you know, 1-bit pixelation work. This is by Pinky Blue, new drop soon. Looks like they're using Asperite, a classic, one of the main pixel art programs. If you're looking, you can see it here. Asperite, I think that's what it is. Either way, I'm pretty sure that's the UI and everything, and you see Sprite there. Anyways, Pinky Blue, a new pixel artist. Isn't it amazing how often we can find new artists here? I'm amazed. And so here is a new work. This is a 1 of 1 for 5 Solana, which must be like 60 bucks now. And it looks like some Spanish here. Let's expand it. So anyways, totally original, very nice pixel artwork. It's, you know, it's not easy to be original with pixel art because you just get tempted to do the same thing everybody else does. I find this quite original. Again, kind of a Lichtenstein feel without saying Lichtenstein too loudly. You could put them in the same show though, or in, you know, rooms in the same building. Let's put it that way. Here's another one by Pinky Blue, edition of 20, buy for 1 sol. And so interesting crop. It feels like maybe it's like a little close up. I mean, you feel like the top has been cropped off here, but very interesting treatment and almost has a bit of a classical feel to it. There's something really special. Maybe it's the color as well, but there's kind of pinky blue. Maybe it's that pink and blue. There's kind of something special going on with this pixel art here. And as ever, mech.txt, I just have to show another beautiful winter scene here from mech.txt. I think this is different from the one we saw yesterday. Very prolific, mech.txt. It came out of nowhere really 6 months ago, as far as I could tell. And ever since, I mean, he's been on this show, one of the most prominent people on this show, like one of the most regular people I show. So he's been doing really well, just in my view. I always want to show it. Here's just another pixel artwork that I saw on Twitter, which was just kind of interesting. I mean, a heart here, upgraded heart, and it's kind of like a trading card, but kind of like a window here with the axe. 100 cards challenge, I put all my heart into it. 23 of 100, upgraded heart, and this is by Barry. Wishlist Demiurges on, what is that? On Steam. So sometimes you got to wonder, like sometimes it feels like game developers are just putting pixel art out on Twitter and that they're not necessarily being minted somewhere. So just kind of interesting. I mean, it seems like a game person. Here's another one, Mysterious Plants. You know, Temptation. So interesting crossover, right? Here's another just interesting pixel artwork. It looks like AI pixel art, doesn't it? We saw some rainbows before. This is a different person, TWT_Cha. Willkommen im Studio. Vielen Dank für Ihren Besuchen. Bitte genießen Sie die Show. So thanks for the visit. Welcome to the studio. In German. So again, looks like, especially when you look down here, it looks like AI pixel art. It's funny how the rainbow keeps showing up in that. This is something else I just saw on Twitter, which just kind of caught my attention. At first I thought it was AI, but it's not. It's 3D, what is it? So they're on Super Rare. Look at this beautiful work. Reminiscent of Max Ernst. It's 3D, landscape artists working in 3D to create peaceful, fictive places. Interesting artist. Look at the amount of money it's going for. 5.5 ETH. 5.5 ETH. Hasn't sold the last two, but actually sent to Assassin 7 here. So this person commands a pretty serious, they have a pretty serious market here. 10 ETH, 9.1 ETH for these 3D modeled landscapes. Pretty interesting stuff. So this is the promise, really, of Super Rare, because we do have to give credit where it's due. I can't think of another platform that commands these kind of prices like this. Not off the top of my head. Maybe Nifty Gateway in certain circumstances, maybe Foundation, but Super Rare, I mean, people do pay for that Super Rare premium. Look at this. So list price of 11. I can see why. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful work for this artist. Iris, it's called. When did this come out? November 8th. And it's already been transferred to Anonymous. So actually accepted an offer of 1.7 though. Interesting. So this is the resale price going on here. So only sold for 1.7, which seems quite low, but that was back in June. Okay, so this artist during a bear market, right? During a bear market, let's just look. Like what are the dates on this stuff? Okay, August 3rd, 2022. So in the middle of a bear market here, this person is making huge sales. I'm going to kill this. For the sake of the mic here, as we're almost done this show. Also, One Don't Knows has an open edition. You still have time to get it, I think. Total minted is 100. I'm not sure if there's a limit on that, but it looks like you can still mint. There's still a day left for 0.06. Pretty cool work. One Don't Knows. I like how he signs his work too. So anyways, very nice work. A guy that came out of Tezos, went to Ethereum, to Super Rare, and now he's just done, kind of goes from victory to victory here. Very nice works, has a huge fan base, great social work, social following, is awesome on the social media, by the way. And he also set himself up at like one of these, artist fairs. So anyways, Alessio La Greca has a new one of one, The Philosopher. I assume this is AI. It says AI here. So just interesting work. And this is part of a series, The Sinner, The Adept, and The Philosopher here. Of course, we know his work from these still lives, which I featured in an earlier episode, which are beautiful. They finally sold, and they sold for, let's see, I think it was 40 Tezos. Here it is, 4 days ago. It took a while. Like, I thought these were outstanding works. It took a while for them to move, though. So it's kind of a lesson in just having patience, too. Sometimes the market is slow to recognize a good thing, okay? Exploring the new era of AI art. And here's another one by Mo P. Wellington. And this is a larger edition, and you see the fireplace here seems to have gotten out of control. Again, it's probably raw AI. Just keep going. This is fine, okay? So anyways, interesting AI work from Mo P. Wellington. Here is more of their work. So always seems to have this figure here with the mustache. It's tempting to think that that is Mo P. Wellington. Artist, collector, and tea connoisseur. Here's a new AI artist that I hadn't seen before. Nowgorithm, Safest Space for Me, AI and Photoshop. So a combination of the two. And edition of 3. Let's just see what these are selling for. For next to nothing. 3 Tezos in the last couple of weeks here. So pretty interesting, kind of reminiscent a little bit of Sumi Reyusi and that person that was doing the interiors that were exterior, not Charles AI, but this other artist that was kind of doing the inside of houses, but on the outside. So again, kind of an interesting theme that keeps coming up. So anyway, just another AI artist. Now this person, Nowgorithm, puts out a lot of AI. Okay, because you see, this is just like in the last, like if we look here, November 28th. So this is just in the last couple of weeks. We have quite a few works here. And you wonder, from just purely a marketing perspective, if they should be keeping their series a little bit more focused. You know, maybe you do the people in the park. I think I made this big. You know, maybe you do 10 versions of the people in the park as a series, sort of like Sumi does with those rooms, and then she'll slightly shift, and then she'll slightly shift. Generally, as a collector, you like to see a little bit, at least series, you know, that are consistent. Mr. Shapeless, I thought this was really interesting, especially having just gone to Prague a few months ago here. When was that? October? And I thought this was really interesting. So this is called Prague. Like, you could do portraits of cities, and, you know, in Mr. Shapeless's style, I mean, again, you could put this on, like, I just imagine this in a subway station as one of those big posters that are advertising something, and it would fit right in and it would totally get your attention, right? So here's some other works. Finally got access to foundation drops. Now, this is the second time I see what foundation drops being mentioned here. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'll have to do some research here, as I do speak to the public here on an almost daily basis here. So here are some more cities, was the point of the matter, with things in the sky. You know, almost has a bit of a rustic digital art feel to it over here. And, you know, this looks like a wind turbine without the turbine. And interesting clouds. Again, these sort of cities here. Almost some writing down here. It looks like almost used a poster or something. And some more, slightly different color scheme. Interesting sky business here. Remember Charles AI yesterday was saying to, you know, embrace the algorithm? That looks like someone is embracing, looks like Mr. Shapeless is embracing the algorithm. So this is interesting. So remember the work that we were discussing from Charles AI. He described how, based on Ethereum, this work changes according to the Ethereum price. And I believe it's changed while I've looked at it. Like, I think there were 2 columns here before that were green. So this is a dynamic work. This piece is a dynamic NFT that tracks a 24-hour ETH price movement. Each column represents a 1% variation. It's built on the Transient Labs Shatter smart contract that allows holders to split this one of one into 12 pieces, the 11 pieces that compose the NFT and the original dynamic piece. So the owner can then sell them and share them with friends as he chooses, as he or she chooses. So there is already a bid of 5 ETH. So 5.8, so I guess $5,800 here, $5,800, which if you're getting 12 Charles AI works, maybe that's a good deal. So I think we could expect perhaps more bids to come in on this, just from a purely speculative point of view, because his works will sell for, I think, up to 2 or 3 ETH, maybe even more. So yeah, shall we take a quick look at Charles AI, at the risk of killing the mic here? Just to see his market. And then we're going to wrap this up. We're almost, yeah, like, look, 5 ETH for the architect. So if you're getting 12 pieces here, maybe because they're all similar, you assume they're like going for 1 or 2 ETH. I think we're going to get more bids here, but a pretty nice starting bid, if you ask me. So yeah, anyways, Charles AI is doing awesome. And finally, in the physical world, Die with the Most Likes continues to make some very nice work. You can see, like, he's making some very smart moves, showing a lot of the brushwork, making it kind of necessary to make it physical if you want this kind of rendition. The nice little cursor here, again, playing with screenshots. You could say a screenshot artist of sorts, or at least playing with the UI of screenshots. So something which a lot of us have experimented with. And anyways, I think he's just doing really nice work. I wonder if he's using a medium here. Kind of looks like it. You know, one of the keys, I'm not sure if this is oil or acrylic. One of the keys to acrylic painting, though, is mediums. If you're not using mediums when you're painting with acrylics, you are kind of missing, it makes your life a billion times harder, okay? And when you use mediums, like especially the super heavy, glossy medium, I'm pretty sure that's what Richard Prince uses, because the brushwork, the secret to beautiful brushwork sometimes, if you're working in acrylic, this is the, you know, the little prize for all those who watch the end of this video. One of the tricks is to use the super heavy, glossy medium. What is it called? Golden, I believe, is the company, and that will give you beautiful brushwork. So I'm not sure if this is oil or acrylic, if mediums are being used. It kind of looks like it here. But anyways, I like what he's doing a lot. It feels like he's trying to learn painting fast, and he is. So another beautiful painting by Die with the Most Likes. And that, my friend, is our show. Thank you for joining me again today. I'll see you on the Twitter Spaces hopefully tomorrow. Until next time, take care.